What's up, guys? Hope you don't mind. While I review this movie, I am going to be drinking not just any milk, but the milk from the stratosphere, because this time the Fast and the Furious franchise jumped so high above the shark, they went past the stratosphere, all just to milk the thing above the stratosphere, whatever the is above that thing, because that's how high this movie goes. What's up, guys? My name's Krispy, and today I am reviewing Fast X. Apparently, the fastening is not a thing. It should be. It is directed by Louis Leterrier, who also directed The Incredible Hulk. I know I've been getting so many names wrong, but this is my anime redemption arc. Watch me. I've got the blush. You see me. So in this movie, Dante, played by Jason Momoa, who is the son of Fast 5 villain Hernan Reyes, comes for Dom and his team with vengeance on his mind. He is set to break this team, torture them, and then finally end their suffering in a dirge of destruction and death. That is pretty much what this movie is. So, the Fast and the Furious franchise is my ultimate guilty pleasure, bro. And when it has the likes of Power Rangers and Kingdom Hearts as its competition for that throne, that is saying something. I think part of that guilty pleasure lied in the fact that for myself and a lot of my friends growing up, it was a movie for the guys, and it still really feels like that. When I saw this movie, for lack of a better way of putting it, the sheer testosterone and masculinity was just lifting me up off of my ass, just carrying me toward the screen. I could feel Dom, Vin Diesel himself, just reaching out his hand, just being like, "Come into the family, brother." He brought me in, he hugged me, he offered me a Miller Lite, and I just got in the car with him and drove off. That's a very vivid story. I just came up with that all as I went along, by the way. I'm a wordsmith, what can I say? And I think that the audience reaction to this movie is gonna sum up how a lot of people react. If you watch this movie, you're gonna be one of two crowds. One crowd was cheering. This movie was like their religion. This was their church. The second crowd was completely silent, trying to take the movie seriously, and just finding nothing to be taken seriously about it. You're going to fall into one of those two camps. For you, this movie is going to be just blind, good, dumb fun that you've already been enjoying to the Fast franchise if you've been watching since the 90s. Or you're gonna be that guy who's been disappointed with the franchise so far, and unfortunately, this is not the movie that is going to save it. For me, I do not think Fast X is one of the better Fast movies, but it is a really fun one. It's got a few moments to be taken seriously, but at the end of the day, it is cliche, beautifully cheesy, and very self-aware of what kind of movie it is. It is an expensive B action movie. That is what it is. That's what you're getting walking in. And I found it interesting the way it delivered on that usual Fast and Furious promise. So in some of the last movies, we've gotten one just giant over-the-top moment that defined the movie. Whether it is a giant safe being driven along by a car, a submarine going up against cars, or a car driving into space, each movie has had a defining big moment. And for this movie, that defining moment is just kind of the whole movie. It doesn't really have that defining moment, but the film does, much like John Wick 4 before it, feel like a gigantic action sequence with the occasional quiet interlude in between. Let me give you an idea of how this movie plays out. At one point, Dom uses his car to flail a dude with a helicopter attached to a chain. And at the beginning of the movie, they have a moment that's kind of like the safe moment from Fast 5, except they are chasing a bomb, a freaking bomb that is rolling. The helicopter came to listen to the review. They are chasing a bomb that is rolling toward the Vatican, and the bomb is on fire. They are trying to move it out of the way of the thing like they're playing Rocket League. And that's one of the movie's tamer moments. I think what happened watching this movie was the writers and the producers, they got along, they built a rapport, they got together in the writer's room, they snorted a shit ton of cocaine, and they were just like, if it worked in the 90s, it's greenlit. And for the people who come back to the Fast franchise, that's generally what we come back for, is the over-the-top moments. And of course, Dom and the family. The characters are still likable, the performance is still decent, or at the very least okay all around. But I do have to talk about the standout performance in this movie, Jason Momoa as the villain, Dante. First of all, Dante is a nice little addition to the Fast and Furious Rogues gallery. I think that the way he goes about his plans and what he represents thematically really tie in well to the whole theme of family in the Fast franchise and in Dom's character arc. But the performance, oh my god, this is Jason Momoa like you've never seen him before. This whole time he is in the movie, he is like some combination of Heath Ledger's Joker, Maximilian Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh!, and a Saints Row villain. I kept expecting him to absorb Dom's soul like he was Shane Tsung. That is how over the top he is in this film. In fact, I shouldn't even use the word over the top. That is saying it mildly. He does ballet, he curtsies, he even has a Joker moment where Dom's punching the shit out of him and he laughs. He runs excitedly like a child toward the next place he's about to and each time he does it, he does this like little cha-cha slide. He is painting the nails of two dudes he just killed. Oh my god! He definitely feels like a threatening villain, and he's honestly the one point in the movie where there's anything resembling stakes, because of course it's a Fast and the Furious movie. There really are no stakes at this point. The characters never feel like they're in any danger. They never miss what they're aiming for. The goons they send after them this time, they're made of plastic. They go in there with full body armor and helmets, and Dom and his team, they just punch the guys wearing helmets once. Nap time. What's the point of wearing the helmet if it's not even going to protect you from a punch, bro? And on top of that, they do sort of continue the Fast and Furious trend of redeeming the villains, so to speak. You've got Shaw's redemption, and they bring back John Cena's character, and they make him sort of an uncle to Dom's son in the movie. That being said, I don't know if Hobbs got his proper redemption arc yet. Hobbs might need a redemption arc after he basically single-handedly delivered the kill shot to the DCEU without even appearing in a single Shazam movie. That is legit some impressive supervillain shit, by the way, bravo. And these redemption arcs also come with something new. They come with retcons. It turns out Dante was there during the safe chase in Fast 5, and he was one of the guys that Dom knocked off the bridge into the water. It turns out in several points throughout the other movies, oh, Dom was there, he was in the background. Like, he suddenly becomes this sort of like gravitational centrifugal force that ties the movie together. He's like gone up against every criminal. He's every organization. He's slept with like every other character. Somehow he's just had his hand in every cookie jar. They do that a lot of times, and speaking of things they do a lot of times, there are a lot of storylines in this movie, bro. You've got a lot of stories thrown in, and it's sort of like, okay, it's sort of like Adam Warlock in Guardians 3. For so many of these stories, it's like they forgot they needed them. They went all in on the action part of making an action movie, and they were like, oh shit, we need a story too, because otherwise there's no real excuse for the action to happen. So many of them come into the picture out of nowhere, by the way, and I don't think most of them even get resolved. It's a lot of arcs to follow, a lot of character arcs to follow too, and you are going to forget a lot of them, and I think the movie knows that because it feels so many times like it goes out of its way to remind us that these things are happening. I would have to mention a lot of examples to talk about what I fully mean by like all of this getting thrown in, all of this getting cobbled together, but my point is the story's stupid. I mean, it is stupid even for Fast and Furious standards, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't go to these movies for the story. I go to these movies for just beautiful popcorn flicks, and that's what this movie is. And I really like how over the top they went. I really like how they just keep finding ways to go bigger and bigger, and in a lot of ways it really did peak with this just 2-hour long action sequence that we got for a movie. And I do appreciate this. They do make an effort to put racing in the center of the movie again. It's far from a perfect effort, but I like the heart they brought back for the racing, for the cars, for the thing that the Fast and Furious franchise was originally about. I do think that Fast 5 is where the franchise peaked. It had that right blend of an ability to be taken seriously and this perfect over-the-top just jumping the shark. Again, this is the movie where we got the chase with the safe, so of course. And ever since then, I feel like the journey forward for these movies has been sort of a double-edged sword. You've lost more and more of an ability to take the movie seriously, but the movies have just gotten more and more over the top. They've climbed that ladder, and I feel like in so many ways this is where it peaked. Now, this movie isn't as good as Fast 5. I don't even know if I'd say it's one of my favorite Fast and the Furious movies, but it definitely is better than the one that came before it. I'm sorry, but like, they lost too much of an ability to be taken seriously when they launched that car into space. They literally left planet Earth at that point. I'm pretty sure Dom's son is a straight up murderer. This is a 10-year-old kid who's given at least influence over the wheel at certain points. I'm pretty sure he killed like 10 dudes in this movie, unless those cars were driven by like 15 Bicentennial Man clones or something. I think legit humans were killed there. Overall, enjoying this meal, I'd give it a nice 70%. You know, it's just a good, fun action popcorn flick. I could have enjoyed it more, but that's probably my fault. Why did I see this movie sober? I'm so stupid. I will also say there is a very good stinger in the middle of the credits. Stick around for that. It's like, it got me hyped. And it definitely does get me hyped for the sequels. And believe me, there are going to be sequels. This is far from the end of the Fast and Furious franchise. This movie doesn't even end on a cliffhanger. It feels more like the first line of dialogue in a cliffhanger. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Come join the Krispy Kingdom. We are all royals here. I also have a gaming channel. I have a Twitch that I have recently brought back. If you want to contact my editor for some awesome work, find TheDarkGale down below too. You will also find some other shows that I'm a part of. You will find the links to the Global Nerds podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, this has been Krispy. And that's it. The Krisp is spoken. Take care.